Rogan Report Podcast. Check it out.
All things Joe Rogan by day. Rogan Report Podcast by night. All day. All night. Half hour to an hour-ish episodes once a week.
The Rogan Report Podcast.
All right, Shane, welcome to the Rogan Report, episode 11, season 1. When are we going to decide to do season 2? Just next year, after we've done a full year, and then we do another year, it'll be season 2?
Or we can call it like 50 episodes, cut it. And
yeah, I mean, like, Game of Thrones is like 10 episodes. We would already be, this would be the first episode of season 2 if we were going
when did
Game of Thrones
seasons
style.
even become a thing in podcasts? I feel like that wasn't a thing before.
Yeah, well, it really depends on the show. I think if you do a show regularly, all year, then you don't really have seasons.
Yeah.
But for some shows, they'll do a show for 3 months, and then they'll stop and take a break. And then or if it's a different theme, like if you listen to Serial, for example.
Or your last show.
Or my last show,
yeah. A great example of that.
Yeah, so season 2, we really changed formats. So that kind of makes sense. I don't know. Maybe we will have some big format change, and then season 2 will be something new.
It'd also be funny if we just let it keep going forever. Season 1, episode 1043.
Yeah. We're just old, man.
And then suddenly just
welcome
randomly 11, like 43. Oh,
yeah.
Season 2 is upon
Season 2. That would be fun.
Yeah.
So big week for Joe Rogan, sort of. Not huge, but what do we have? 4 podcasts?
Yeah, 4. I mean,
classic.
after last week's 6er.
Yeah, it felt like
okay.
a little bit small, but maybe big week. And the big Joey Diaz was on first.
Fucking love Joey Diaz.
Yeah. Did you watch his comedy special?
Sure did. 2 days ago.
Yeah, I watched it as well. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I feel like he's one of those guys, though, that I would have been laughing way harder if I was there in person.
For sure.
Right? He's got that kind of like larger than life energy. And
I think if I hadn't heard a lot of his podcasting, maybe I wouldn't have got his humor as much either.
Oh, yeah?
Maybe. But he's funny.
Yeah.
There was definitely some moments that had me fucking dying. There were a little other ones that sort of had to, not funny, but just
yeah. I thought the whole suck a dick for the universe. I thought that was a great bit.
point. Yeah.
And
I'd like to say I'm an advocate for that theory.
yeah, do the world a favor.
Yeah.
I laughed really hard when he called his dick a Malouk stick.
Fuck, he's funny, man. Malouk stick.
Fucking Malouk stick.
I don't even know what Malouk means. It doesn't matter.
I don't know either. And then I heard Joe say it on a podcast, like a couple podcasts later. I forget which one it was. Maybe
it must be some sort of Italian
Cejudo.
New York thing or something.
Yeah, but that shit was funny.
Yeah.
If you don't know who Joey Diaz is, obviously he's a stand-up comedian. We just watched his stand-up comedy special. He's also an actor. He was on The Sopranos.
Nope.
Wasn't he?
He tried out for it though.
He tried out for it? Okay,
Yeah.
I thought he was. He was in a gangster movie then or some shit. He's been in gangster related things.
For sure. Yeah.
I thought for sure he had a small role in
You
The
know who
Sopranos.
he looks exactly
Big
like
Pussy.
Big Pussy.
No, but
He looks just like him.
I didn't think that he was Big Pussy, but I thought he had some other role.
He might have been a better Big Pussy.
You think so?
Maybe he wouldn't have ratted. If
Maybe.
it was Joey Diaz
Yeah.
instead.
They couldn't have played that role realistically though.
No, man.
Because he wouldn't have ratted.
No.
Yeah. Of course, he does his Church of What's Happening Now podcast. You're a fan of. I've listened to a few
For
of
sure.
them. Not as many as I would have liked. And he's got the new series that's on The Degenerates, which is on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I just finished watching the Big Joe Okerson one.
Yeah, how's that one?
That was pretty good.
Yeah. I
yeah.
listened to the Christina P one, and she's coming up this week.
Okay.
coming. But
Cool. Yeah, she's great. Tom Segura is one of my favorite stand-up comedians. Like
For
he's
sure.
in my, I would say probably my top 5.
yeah, he's a funny mother.
Yeah, he just seems like the way he talks is very much like my inner monologue in my head. When he's like kind of surprised by things, I feel like he really embodies my inner voice somehow.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah. They went over a lot of Joey Diaz type stuff.
Yeah,
a lot of his
kidnapping
stories
and
yeah.
living in Colorado.
Yeah. They talked a little bit about the bushy caterpillar eyebrows that as you get older. I'm definitely noticing that myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I got bushy. I mean, I've had bushy eyebrows since I was a kid. I kind of blessed with a hairy face and cursed with a hairy face.
Yeah.
It meant buying cigarettes when I was only 16
Yeah.
without getting carded. But now it means I got to take the trimmers to it from time to time.
Yeah.
Typically when I get my hair cut, my hairdresser will actually just kind of trim them up
The eyebrows.
Trim the eyebrows. Yeah, I'm like, thank you.
So you don't really do it yourself ever?
I have done it myself as well. Yeah, but like,
Do you ever get one stray one that's just ridiculously long, like 2 inches? Like, what the fuck?
2 inches.
What happened? That's really long.
Seems
Yeah,
long.
Maybe 1 inch.
Yeah,
But I definitely get one that I'll like notice it because it's like curled down. It's poking me in the eye.
Yeah,
I'm
it's just
hey,
like
man.
was tucked underneath somehow
What
for
the
a long
hell's
time,
going
and it was growing long, and it got missed when you were like trimming them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine that's how it happens. I definitely have had 1 inch, maybe over an inch.
Yeah.
I don't know about 2. That's
2's excessive.
that's pretty big.
I tend to.
But I'm sure they're
exaggerate.
out there. I would like to, listeners, send us pictures of your 2-inch eyebrows. And,
No, they're there for real. Like, picture some old Asian dude, like Kung Fu Master type. They go to those bitches long.
fair enough.
I'm sure.
I hope my goal now is to one day grow a 2-inch eyebrow.
Absolutely. The ears could stop though. That's not that cool.
No, you just got to get that like thing that looks like an electric toothbrush. You just put in there.
Yeah.
I don't have one of those yet. I should probably get one.
Yeah.
1191. Peter Boghossian?
Boghossian?
Boghossian? I don't know I don't remember how
Shit,
if it
did
was
they
said.
even say his name?
And I don't know. I was trying to think about. Okay, when did they say it? Did Joe say it? Boghossian.
He must have said it. But
Boghossian.
anyway.
And James Lindsay.
And James
Easy-
Lindsay.
Easy one. So they were a couple of like Peter was a philosophy instructor, activist, author, speaker, and atheism advocate, and he's now like a full-time faculty member at the Portland State University. And then James Lindsay has his PhD, and he had been in the university, but he was no longer. He had like retired from the university. His background is in physics and mathematics, and he's also the author of 3 books.
Mhm.
And the crazy thing that they did was that they wrote all these academic papers that they just made up info for that, just as to try to make it as ridiculous as they could to prove a point that like a lot of the papers that are getting passed in the humanities are like not necessarily the most legit.
Some super left, like
Yeah.
academic nonsense. A lot of it.
Yeah.
To the point where they put in some basic satire, like nonsense. You'd read the shit in the Onion.
Yeah. And yeah, you couldn't really tell. Some of the ones that passed that were, like that could easily be you couldn't tell which one was satire, which one was them, which one was not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Kind of mean. I felt a little bad for I don't know, whoever's in these universities and
These
students.
unsuspecting
Yeah, other professors.
hella left wing professors. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of hella left wing, over the last few days, I had a friend of mine a few days ago. He posted a article about Jordan Peterson and about how Jordan Peterson in the 70s, apparently when Jordan was 14, he almost ran for a position with the NDP in Alberta. It
Oh,
was
really?
Not the associate, I don't know what it is, vice president of the NDP Alberta party.
Yeah.
And that sparked a 190 comment debate over, is Jordan Peterson a good person or not a good person? Are his thoughts and is his work valid or is it not valid?
Yeah.
And as you know, Edmonton music scene definitely left leaning.
Yeah.
And so there was far more people saying that they were, that he was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And that and they brought up some points and posted some criticism articles that I hadn't seen before, and I was like, ooh, they kind of did have some valid points. I was like, not because I've been a fan of Jordan Peterson's, and I agree with a lot of his ideas, a lot of the things he says. I'm like, I feel very strongly about free speech, and I feel like it's a slippery slope if we start making it illegal to say certain things or to come up with certain kinds of jokes. Then all of a sudden anyone can just say, well, I'm offended by this, so you can't make a joke about that. And all of a sudden it snowballs.
Yeah.
And I don't want that for our world.
Yeah.
I don't want to live in Maoist China as Jordan Peterson, he kind of lays out that these stepping stones can lead to that crazy neo-Marxist environment. But
Pretty hard not to agree with him.
yeah, exactly.
But here's the thing. I've always, when reading about or listening to Jordan Peterson, it's on Joe Rogan or it's on somewhere else that's painting him kind of in a more favorable light. I've never really listened to any of the negative stuff about him. So.
Yeah. Well, I read this article in the Star that was like from someone who was a friend of his, basically a guy who brought him from the University of Harvard over to the University of Toronto and like advocated for him and said, hey, this guy, you know, is a really unique thinker and a really strong speaker, and we should bring him in. And he kind of got Jordan Peterson the job at the University of Toronto.
Yeah.
And then Jordan had lived with him for 8 months while Jordan was renovating his house. And he's like, you know, said that he really was a good family man. And before his kind of rise to fame in 2016, that he really had a strong affection for Jordan, and that Jordan was kind of seemed like a different person. But then after this, he started kind of bending some of the truths and using rhetoric, like demagogue kind of like rhetoric to push his platform and his agenda. And, you know, he thinks that, so then he became no longer, he's like, I was Jordan Peterson's biggest and strongest supporter. And now, you know, he wrote this article that's basically saying we need to be really careful because Jordan's leading us down a path to almost what he's preaching against, like almost like a authoritarian, you know, environment. And
kind of like way on the other side.
yeah. And that like the, you know, railing against Bill C-16, there's no real danger of the bill. He says that he's at risk of like going to prison if he doesn't use people's pronouns, but that's really not what the bill is about.
Right.
And that I could kind of see too when I'm listening to him talk about it, just in the even not so much what he's saying, but his tone, that he definitely seems like he does have some kind of issues with like some prejudice issues with transgender people.
Yeah.
And so, and I can certainly see how him taking, because his people on his side say that no, he's just saying that you can't have legislated enforced speech, which I do also agree with. You can't have that, but there, you know, when you listen to people talking about Bill 16 on the pro side, they're saying that's not what this is about. This is about basic decency and human rights for everyone, and, you know, people not being harassed and
right.
So I don't know, man. It's a complicated and convoluted issue. It's super complex, as we've said, about, you know, kind of the whole society and our whole world right now. And it like really hurt my head trying to like think about, okay, who is right?
That's a tough one, because I like to lean towards compassion, right?
Yeah, me too.
Like, yeah.
And I was listening to this debate, and the people are saying like Bill C-16, it, you know, it gives rights to people who are marginalized, and it's about human rights. It's not about like
taking ours away.
Yeah, but also I do think we need to be critical when we're putting laws in about these things, and if it can lead to eventually some kind of Maoist China, then maybe we need to reevaluate. But I don't know. I wasn't able to really come up with a strong opinion. I do agree with most of his ideas that when I hear him speaking about things, but you know, I was given some pause by my friend.
Well, he, like everyone else here, is a human and is not infallible. So,
and they think that he's just kind of doing this to get a lot of money and get rich, and that he, you know, which I don't know if I believe that. I think he definitely strongly believes the things that he's saying.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he's hurting before, right? The professor and shit.
That's true. Yeah, they make a couple hundred.
I'm sure his house is
grand a
paid
year.
for, all that, you know.
Yeah.
Not maybe the fame more than getting rich. Maybe to get a platform, but
you know, what the one thing when my friend said is that, like, you know, even though he agrees with a lot of Jordan Peterson's ideas as well, but agreeing with him, you know, all of those ideas are tainted by this like anti-woman, anti-trans kind of attitude that is lying underneath. I'm like, Jesus, I don't know. If it is that bad, then yeah, it kind of would be tainted by that.
Yeah.
But I just can't, it's hard for me to tell if it is that bad or isn't that bad. And I get,
I mean, realistically, you'd have to be a fly on the wall in his office at home.
Yeah.
To know that for real.
Totally. Okay. Well, that's my story. Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot. And then, yeah, Peter Boghossian and James Lindsay, kind of, they're definitely just Jordan Peterson fans, and in that sort of alt-right, you know, and like the Rebel Media, when I see something posted, apparently Rebel Media is a big Jordan Peterson fan, and anytime I find out that the Rebel Media is on the side of something, I'm just like immediately want to be on not the side of that, because Rebel Media is so insane and racist, and man, I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Yeah.
Anything else to say about Peter Boghossian and James Lindsay?
No. That's another one of those topics. It's been talked about quite a bit.
MMA Show 48, Henry Cejudo and Eric Albarracin? Barracin?
I think Albarracin might be the right way.
I'm terrible at names.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at remembering names, like, and faces I'm not good at either.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I'm not good at, Shane. Names and faces. Two of the top ones. So, of course, Henry Cejudo, flyweight champion, and the first guy to really take the wind out of the sails of the pound-for-pound best fighter of all time.
Yep. The Dragon Slayer of the fucking flyweight division.
Yeah.
Fucking DJ.
Yeah.
Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson.
Mighty Mouse, now slightly less Mighty Mouse.
Yep. Did
Yeah.
you hear about this unprecedented trade? Speaking of Mighty Mouse, they're trading Mighty Mouse to one whatever FC
One
it is.
FC?
Yeah, for Ben Askren.
Oh, no, I didn't hear about
Ben
that.
Askren's legit in the UFC now.
Oh,
And we lost Mighty Mouse.
really?
And I'm hearing all this talk about the flyweight division being dropped completely
From the UFC?
for the men.
Wow. Because Cejudo's talking about fighting up
Up to TJ.
to TJ. Yeah.
But TJ wants to fight down because he wants to get his double champ belt, right?
Yeah.
Both of them do, obviously.
Interesting. So then maybe a catchweight fight at first for no belt.
For both belts?
And then, for both belts.
That'd be sick.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
I
Doesn't
guess.
seem fair otherwise,
No.
eh?
Yeah.
Because, like, what do you win if you're not winning the belt there?
No, yeah, true. And if one person's putting the belt on the line and the other person's not, then that's kind of not fair
Yeah,
either.
it's a dog shit fucking deal.
Yeah.
And you have to cut, no, you don't have to cut the weight if you're going up. Yeah, it's a,
Catchweight for both belts.
for sure.
I'd be in favor
Place
of
it right at like 130 or whatever.
that. Yeah, so Ben Askren, he's a welterweight, right?
I think he is, yeah.
And like
I'm pretty sure he is.
crazy jiu-jitsu
Wrestling type guy.
wrestling.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Apparently he
Yeah,
like,
Joe says he can kick everyone's ass.
hasn't even been hit like in a bunch of fights.
Yeah.
That kind of shit never makes me think that a guy's like that good though, because what if he does suddenly get hit now? You know what I mean?
It'll be interesting.
Maybe he's forgot what it feels like a little bit.
I kind of want to pull up Ben Askren's details now.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure he's gonna clean some house. Depends what they give him though. If they throw him right in against fucking Tyron Woodley or some shit, he might just get fucking starched. You know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he was the one welterweight champion and former Bellator welterweight champion.
Yeah.
Got an unorthodox style of grappling, which borrows from many different types of wrestling. Was he a big leg lock guy? Was he one of the Danaher Death Squad fighters?
I've actually never seen him fight.
I feel like I have, but I kind of don't remember. I suppose that might say in his Wikipedia here.
About as far away from UFC as I go as Bellator.
He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu,
Yeah.
NCAA Division I wrestling, Olympic freestyle wrestling.
Another one of these ones. But he'll do well.
Yeah, it doesn't say. I don't think he is a Danaher Death Squad guy.
There's a lot of talk of him challenging Khabib. Which would
Yeah.
probably be a really fun fight. But
yeah, because there's not a fight set for Khabib yet, but you got to. I was sure it would be Tony.
it's got to be Tony, man.
Yeah, if they put Askren again against Khabib.
Shit, man. You asked
Ahead
me,
of
Tony
Tony.
was the real champ anyway, not
Yeah.
fucking Khabib. Khabib beat like a number 9 guy
True.
to get that belt.
Yeah.
That's some bullshit.
Yeah, we talked about that, I think, last
We
time.
did.
We were already,
I'm
we're
still
already
sour.
angry. Yeah, no, and rightly so.
I guess.
Yeah, but it'll either be Connor, unless Connor comes back and, I don't know.
Oh, Connor doesn't want to fight Ben Askren.
No. But maybe.
Oh, you mean Connor Khabib?
Connor Khabib.
Yeah,
That's one thing that they might do just for the cash of it. It's not really the fair thing for Tony.
yeah, no.
Make Tony wait.
They
further.
don't seem to give a fuck about what's fair.
It might
that
be
much.
actually cool to put him in with Ben Askren, and because it gives him like kind of another fight to get back to the title.
Who's that? Tony?
Yeah, no, Connor.
Connor, yeah.
Because who else?
That could
is
be
Connor?
cool. Maybe he does go in and starts that guy.
Yeah,
That'd be sweet.
that would give him some.
I need something
some
back.
momentum.
I need him to beat somebody and soon.
The other thing was maybe he would fight GSP. They kind of talked about that for a
That'd
while.
be good. Yeah. GSP was like king of the welterweight division, wasn't he? Or was he middle? No, he
No.
went up to middleweight for Bisping.
Yeah, he was the double belt champion.
That's right.
But yeah, he was champ at, well, I guess some people say that last fight with Johnny Hendricks, that he didn't win it, but he won it officially. So
yeah,
That's
all that really counts in the end.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. And anything else for Cejudo and Eric Alba?
I mean, they just went over his training and stuff like that.
Yeah,
we've seen this a bunch. Yeah,
yeah,
bunch of fight talk.
The next one, 1192, Tony Hinchcliffe.
Fucking love Tony Hinchcliffe too,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, I love Kill Tony. That's one of the other podcasts that I listened. I listened to that one right from when it very first started, and I've listened to every episode up to I'm about 10 episodes behind right now.
Yeah,
I started watching them on. First I listened to them all on my phone, but I started watching them on YouTube, and they're a lot better. Because they're constantly like talking about the look. Oh, you know what you look like? You look like a mix of blank and blank. And the whole time listening to it, I'm just like, one, it's kind of cool because you get an idea in your head that you're like, oh, like you picture this mythical being. But after seeing the person and then seeing them say it, and all the costumes that Jeremiah and everyone, the band is coming in at, like it's a lot better now to watch it.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
Yeah, it's such a cool. They're in season, I think, 5 or 6 different iterations, and it's been so cool to see that show evolve from like what it was when it was very first starting. And it was funny because it also makes me want to try stand up for sure, I think. And that's a very common story on the show.
That's actually what made me. I actually had this like brief 6 month stint 2 years ago. I was like, I'm gonna do stand up. I'm gonna start it right away. And I never started it
because you're learning. You're hearing these top comedians give advice to young comedians, and you're like, oh, I can take that advice. I know how to put the mic stand behind me now.
Yeah.
And now you don't. It's funny because you don't hear a lot of the kind of beginner mistakes that you were hearing on the podcast when it started. Now you almost never hear someone not put the mic stand out of the way, and that was one that was coming up. I remember when it was very first starting, it would come up all the time. So like people from being fans of the show and having listened to lots of it, like they're pretty good right out of the box. A lot of times people that come up, they have a pretty good idea of what they're doing, even if it's their very, very first time.
Yeah, there's even the structure to the jokes and everything.
They know that they need punchlines. They know that they need some timing, and so they're just better. And I think that's really cool that like Tony has kind of contributed that to the overall comedy. Like, what is the word for it? I was trying to think of this word in the last podcast, I think.
Oh, fuck.
Me trying to think of words.
I think you'd translate probably pretty easily to doing stand-up, eh? I mean, you perform live and...
Yeah, I wonder. I thought I went on a bachelor party in Arizona, and Kill Tony was there, and I was like, oh, sweet, let's do this this would be an awesome bachelor party thing. Let's go to Kill Tony, and I'll sign up, and maybe we can all sign up and see if somebody gets pulled.
Yeah.
But it turned out that it was the day before we got there. Yeah, it was
sucks.
on the Thursday, and like we got there on the Friday.
Yeah.
And the trip was all like booked and everything before I had the podcast, so it was like we couldn't really go in and change it. Everyone had their tickets.
I'm planning a trip to California next year.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to hit the Comedy Store. I'm hitting all that shit.
Yeah, Comedy Store. That's I've never been to California.
I've never been out of the country.
Yeah, that seems kind of crazy.
It's going to be crazy.
I've been a few places out of the country, but never to California, and that's high on my list too. I really want to go to the Comedy Store.
Yeah,
the mecca of comedy.
Yeah,
such a mythical place almost. Yeah,
for sure. I'm going straight down. I'm checking out Vegas. I'm going over in that way, and then I'm gonna come straight back up through Oregon, Washington, and Vancouver Island.
Zeitgeist was the word.
Zeitgeist.
The comedy like Zeitgeist. He's contributed to.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Alpha Brain.
Yeah. No, and he's a big part of the whole Joe Rogan crew.
Of course, yeah.
Has been for a long time.
Yeah.
And so is Brian Redban, obviously.
Yeah,
who's on
Redban
Kill Tony as well.
Yeah.
Does the soundboard and
the Death Squad.
Occasionally drops a funny joke.
Yeah, rarely, but
sometimes it's usually just filth. But
it seems like they've been, I don't know, they've almost patched up their relationship a little bit more.
They're not as bitchy
for a while
at each
there,
other.
it was like Tony was so mad at Redban all the time because Redban would say something gross that would just make everyone groan and wouldn't necessarily be funny. Every once in a while, though, he does say something that's like really funny, and you're like,
he
does laugh. I'm like,
you can't really get mad at him for saying the gross stuff. That's how he gets to his funny stuff, right?
Yeah, and all jokes come from a place of trying to be funny.
Yeah,
like, no one's saying something on that show and hoping that no one laughs at it.
And you hear Tony bomb almost once every single episode.
That's true. Yeah, Tony. With his puns, sometimes you're like, that's a bit of a stretch.
You're killing me, Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah. That Jeremiah Watkins, though, he's a funny guy, man.
Yeah.
He's funny.
I would like to drum off against
Joel Jimenez.
Against Joel. I'm not. Drums are not my main instrument, but I can tap them a little bit.
You can bang them skins.
Yeah. All right, Shane. Well, I did try to play the drums for 30 seconds about 5 times, and then something happened to my computer, and it stopped recording, and it gave me a memory too slow error message or something like that. Not good. So we're re-recording again now, and we'll see. I'll probably come back tomorrow and play drums for about 4 hours, trying to get another 30-second clip.
Get something beautiful, tasty to put up there.
Yeah, I was not good in the 30 seconds on the spot. It's funny because normally when I'm playing drums, I'm playing along to like a song and I put the headphones on, and I don't never really just like sit down and try to play a quick drum solo, and so I really need to work on that.
Feels weird, eh?
Yeah, it is weird.
Yeah.
Anyways, Kill Tony, one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
I'm curious if this is going to have a memory too slow error message and cut me off in the middle of a sentence. Now I'm kind of nervous and like gunshot. Like, oh my God, we got to wrap it up quick before the fucking computer breaks again.
So we didn't really talk that much about what Kill Tony actually is.
Okay, Kill Tony podcast, where you have several famous comedians and Tony Hinchcliffe and Brent Redband listen to open mic comedians perform 1 minute of stand-up, and then they just are guests on a podcast after that for 5 minutes. And they'll sometimes talk about the comedy, sometimes they'll just talk about the lives of all these crazy people.
Sometimes they'll just roast the shit out of them for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Other times they did well and they'll get advice, and
who knows?
But it's almost always funny.
Yeah, it is. And it's gone through so many different iterations. Did you listen to it from the beginning?
Not from the beginning, but I did listen back. Maybe not all the way too, but I've been pretty
like Iron
religious for
Patriot,
the last 2 years.
Were you? Did you listen to any of the like Iron Patriot episodes?
I'm pretty sure I did.
Yeah. That was such a crazy. He was this guy that was like a character that he would go out and kind of almost like a street performer, and he would dress up in his Iron Patriot, which is like an Iron Man themed costume, and he'd go out on Hollywood Boulevard and be like, "I am the Iron Patriot, blah 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 blah, give me money," and then he just was like wandered into the comedy store and just kind of worked his way into being on the show because they're not going to not comment on the guy in the $15,000 Iron Man costume,
right?
And so then he started becoming a regular guest, and
there's a few of them. Like there's Aphrodite, there's
yeah,
Ichabod,
but he didn't do much stand up. He was more of like a panel guy.
Oh, okay.
And then he would like come up with creepy questions to ask the other like famous comedian that was joining.
Nice.
And he would say "Kill Tony." He'd be like "Kill Tony," and it's just this really creepy way of saying it. And eventually he thought that he was the star of the show, and he was gonna like. He was like, "Yeah, Kill Tony. This is just small time. I'm gonna like go on. I'm a star now." And and everyone on the show was like, oh, "What are you talking about? You're not even close to ever. Most people are creeped out by you." But yeah, like I guess he had a little bit of he gained 1,000 Twitter followers, and he just went straight to his head.
His head blew up.
Oh my God, he like went on Getting Doug with High, and he was like talking to Doug Benson about like, "Hey, okay, I'm going to leave Kill Tony. I'm going to come here and I'm going to do your show for a little while." And Doug was like, "What? I don't think so, man. That's not how this works."
I'm so high right now, but I don't think so, dude.
Yeah, he's like, "That sounds terrible. Don't do that." And he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to quit Kill Tony." And and then there was this giant drama. Tony there's been a few dramas like with the regular comedians too. They've been the people can't handle getting ripped on week after week, and
that's tough too, man, coming up with a brand new minute every single week.
For sure it is. And some of the people that they've had as regulars were not able to cut it. Some of them have been brilliant, and like
the one they have right now is pretty goddamn funny.
Oh yeah.
What's his name now?
He's awesome.
Is it Marcus? No, it's not Marcus. The fuck? Why don't I remember his name?
I don't remember anyone's name, so we've covered this already.
I need to stop bringing up people is what I got to do.
I could tell you his name in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.5, 1 1/4, 1 1/8, whatever, 1 1/16,
We're making this small now.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay. Malcolm. That's what it is.
Malcolm, not Marcus.
Yeah. Malcolm Hatchett.
Yeah. Lives
Yeah.
in his car. Or
Yeah.
I don't know if he still does, but he did when they discovered him.
For sure.
Basically records himself quitting jobs
Yeah.
on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does
Instagram.
his Instagram stories. He's kind of famous for. And he was funny right from the first. Like, he had been doing comedy already for a while, a couple of years, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, right from the very first appearance on Kill Tony, he was hilarious.
Yeah.
And then he's been pretty consistent. There's
Pretty.
maybe like,
There's a couple that are a little bit messy.
I would
but
say not any full, maybe 10 seconds or a couple jokes that haven't landed too well.
Yeah.
But like overall, even on when the couple jokes didn't land, he was really good at like making sure the rest of the minute was pretty solid. So
what's great about him though is you want to laugh, even
Yeah.
when sometimes they're not that funny. Like,
yeah, he's
okay,
got that goofy. Like,
you're
"Oh,
hilarious,
shit,
dude.
man."
He's
Yeah,
even got catchphrases. Like he came out the gate with catchphrases like "lay down, lay down."
true. So yeah, love Kill Tony.
Yeah, man.
Glad to, and I like him as a guest on Rogan as well.
Yeah.
He's got interesting things to say, and
Yeah.
and yeah, I know we're not a guest-based show, but Tony, if you're coming up to Edmonton, we'd love to have you on.
Absolutely.
You can help us recap some Rogan and talk Rogan, all the Rogan topics of
Give
the
us
world.
some inside scoop on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just make that a theme that, like, anyone who's being a guest on Rogan, if you want to come on and talk Rogan with us,
Yeah.
we're happy to have you.
Oh, we can always have a side episode that's not a recap and just
That's true.
talk Rogan with a guy.
That's
Yeah.
true. Okay. Well, there we go, Shane.
Something to chew on.
That's another week, just over the 30-minute mark, as promised.
We are well over 3,000 downloads at this point.
Wow.
So
Thank you so much for
Thanks,
listening,
guys.
everyone.
yeah, we'll keep jabbering on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Hey there, Joe Rogan, super fan. This podcast is for you, my man. Or woman, or non-binary. Our recaps will be legendary. The Rogan Report Podcast. Come on, you'll have a blast at the Rogan Report Podcast.